And welcome to Down the Alley. This is PMAC.
And Ted T.S. Spirides.
A little Friday morning recording. It's been a crazy week, full of games, full of tweeting scores, full of travel, full of I was even in a booth for a girls' game. So it's been a heck of a week. Sorry to the 5 a.m. club. Didn't get that 5 a.m. Um, upload for you. So sorry for the delay, but we are up. We are at them. Hopefully JP will be joining us. Hopefully Katie will be joining us. It's just a lot of moving parts this time of the year heading into a holiday weekend. Ted, I know you've been busy. What have you been up to?
Yeah, we had 3 games this week, back to back to back. We actually our Wednesday game was a rescheduled game that got rained out. So I believe Prior Lake had a similar situation this week
We did.
with a rain out reschedule. And so yeah, 3 back to back, back to back to back games, tough games. It takes a lot out of you, like this, like game day is not like we've talked about it on this podcast of it's not necessarily just 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. It's a lot more than that, mentally and emotionally. And, like PMAC, I know you help coach the JV team. So then you're there an additional hour and a half early. It becomes like a long day for sure. And in my case, on Wednesday, we had to travel down to Mankato. Originally was a Saturday game, which traveling to Mankato on a Saturday is a little easier, but
A little
now it
easier.
bumps, it gets wedged in between 2 games on a Wednesday night. Um, and so, it is what it is. We took care of business, which is good, but tough loss to Shakopee on Tuesday. And then we finished with 2 wins. So as far as, you know, coaching perspective goes, it was a good week. We were 2-1 on the week, but definitely looking forward to a holiday weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest shout out to Shakopee. Big win against Farmington, and congrats to them on their South Suburban championship this year. Huge kudos to them. I know Ted, you did a huge blog, massive blog on all the conference champions. Since you did a deeper dive on it, who are some of the other conference
Let me
champions around the state?
Yeah, let me pull it up here. It wasn't necessarily it wasn't a deep dive, but it was, we did shout out all the conference champs. I think every conference was solidified except for one as of yesterday when I posted it. And then that was determined last night, the final one. So let me pull it up here.
Quick question for you. Was that tweeted? Did you tweet this blog?
I did.
You
Yep.
did tweet it. Okay.
It
Okay.
is part of DTA Premium.
Okay. All right.
It's part of the kind of the daily stuff that I've been doing.
Cool.
So
Thank you
2020,
for doing that, Ted. I appreciate all the work you've been doing.
you're welcome. 2023 conference champs, the Big Nine, Rochester Mayo, the Greater West Metro, Chisago Lakes. The IMAC is Trimac. So Trimac won the IMAC, or IMAC, but I think it's
First
IMAC.
time ever for them. They had a heck of a year. I think they came out of left field.
Yeah. Yeah, they have been just dominating teams. The Lake Conference, small town on the west side with a dream. Edina Hornets, Lake Conference champs. Metro East, JP's Cadets of St. Thomas Academy. The Metro West, a shocker here in the Metro West, Benilde St. Margaret's.
Huge shocker. Is that their first conference championship?
It's the first
Yeah, I'm
championship
shocked.
they've ever won, I think.
Okay. Congrats to the Scarlet Knights.
Yeah. Northwest Suburban Maple Grove. South Suburban Conference, Shakopee Sabres. Exciting Tuesday night, too. And I'm sure we'll talk about it. But Shakopee had to win and get help by not one, but 2 teams, and they got it, and they won the conference. So very exciting Tuesday night, unless you're Farmington and lost that game. But exciting South Suburban, a lot of teams jumping up and bumping around, and yeah, it was good. the Suburban East, Stillwater Ponies. And finally, the Wright County was to be determined as of last night between Mound West Tonka and Holy Family, and Mound West Tonka won to win the Wright County Conference Championship.
Congrats to all of those teams. If you're watching on YouTube, we had a couple people join us. We bought a little time with our conference champion chat. Let's go to JP because you joined us before our other guest. JP, good morning. How are you doing? You're on the road. Looks like you're on the road.
I'm on the road. I'm out on the Eastern time zone, but I'm in Indiana, so I'm about as west as you can get for it being 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm out here to see the Indy 500 on Sunday. I am beyond excited for some racing, some high octane speed. It's going to set me up real nicely going into section playoffs, which I cannot wait for next week, which I'm sure we'll do a full dive into today. But I'm doing great. Long 10-hour road trip yesterday. Bunch of traffic through Chicago, a bunch of construction in Western Indiana, but solid drive. Got here safe and sound. So, yeah, I'm ready to dive into some lacrosse.
Who's logged more miles this season, JP or Gentry?
I don't know. Farmington might be up there. You guys have been traveling down southern Minnesota, it seems like.
No. Gentry, self-proclaimed. Gentry self-proclaimed the most miles this season. So, JP, you're the only comparable here.
I'm not down here for lacrosse, unfortunately. So I think I might have to hand it over to them. I think that seems like a fair title they can take. I didn't bring my camera. Actually, I maybe should have, because I think the Indiana State tournament is, I think, around this time.
Buddy, that would have been huge for you.
That would have been awesome. That would have been some good spreading the content. Maybe we cover Midwest lacrosse, not just Minnesota.
You could have rode off the whole trip with your camera.
That would have been perfect.
Catherine, this might be your best day of your life since marrying me. So best day in the last 2 years. Appliance
No, I said
day.
the best day was getting engaged to you. It was better than our wedding day.
Okay, well, best day in 3 years then. Catherine, appliance delivery day. Thanks for joining us on Down the Alley. How are you doing this morning?
You could literally say anything to me or about me and I wouldn't care. I'm so happy right now.
What about a tweet at you?
Wouldn't care. Nothing is phasing me right now for what is in my kitchen. So tweet me, say whatever you want to say I'm clueless. Sticks and stones today, because I can just walk downstairs and see a dream come true.
You got an appliance wall around you protecting you.
A literal dream come true that I thought would never live to see the day.
Are they live?
And here I am living it on a Friday.
Are they live and up and running? Can you throw
no, the tech team still needs to cut. These were just the delivery guys, and they were very certain to be like, no, we're just here to drop them off. Where do you want
just
them?
the muscle.
Yeah. They were the muscle. I kind of was like, I wonder if I know it's going to be heavy, but could I lift a fridge? And I don't think I could. These guys this is their job. And the guy was like, yeah, I install countertops too. And I was like, you know what you're good at? It's lifting heavy things.
Love it.
And they were very much beefy guys that you would expect that would move appliances. So I was happy they were on brand for the delivery guys.
Who's stronger? Warner Stellian, muscle, or the Blake coaching staff?
Warner Stellian by far. The Warner Stellian staff, if Blake's coaching staff wants to test their muscle, they can come and lift my appliances.
No. They don't get to touch they can go and video.
They could go get
the Warner Stellian staff
job. I'm sure Warner Stellian needs the help. I'm sure you get some obscene amount of money, $100 an hour. But that's how that is how you test your muscles, is by carrying fridges and ranges into houses.
Yeah, they're not touching these appliances.
That's also true.
That's that's cool. Welcome.
Colton have to leave his mom's basement. That means to actually come to our house.
A rumor is he has a new podcast. He's joining Barstool. There's a new podcast on Barstool.
Oh, right. called Mom's Basement.
in my mom's basement. Yeah. So
Yeah.
look for
good
Colts.
wishes.
He might be launching a podcast with Barstool. Still TBD, I guess. I don't know. Back to lacrosse. Let's get back on the rail.
Ted, where did you see those conference championships?
On downthealley.com.
Oh, that's
downthealleypod.com.
I just pulled up the standings on Minnesota or MN Lax Hub. You just go to
the standings.
It breaks it out by conference. And
got it. So the top team is the winner.
Yes, that's correct.
Obviously, Chisago Lakes, because they were 14-0.
There could be shares of conference championships, and like I think if there's weird somebody beat somebody but then lost to somebody else kind of thing, but most of them I think were pretty solid.
Well, since we already started and got the juices flowing on the boys' side, let's keep the juices flowing there, and then we'll head over to the girls next. We got the conference champions out of the way. Let's take a peek at some scores, and then let's look ahead to sections. Another week, and we have more questions than we have answers, in my opinion. Everyone continues to beat everybody, and if you tweet about it, people are going to get pissed. So let's piss some people off. Who beat who? Where were the upsets? Where were the wide margins? What were the interesting scores? Give it to me, folks.
Holy, I'm just looking at this now. I did not know Lakeville North just demolished Edina last night. What happened there? I mean, I don't know if we want to get straight into that one. That's the first thing I looked when I pulled up the scores and caught my eye.
Hey, so I'm a defender of the Hornets. That was what the people call a good loss. Lakeville North, very good team. Obviously, the original Electric Factory, they took a little stumble there for a game or two. Lakeville North, all the way back clearly heading into sections.
Yeah, I got some scores from earlier, but just talking about that game, I wonder what that game would have been like if it was 3 weeks ago versus both teams basically having locked up the 1 seed in their section and their conference champion. Well, I guess Lakeville North didn't win the conference, but they were in the running at that point. It just was like there. I don't want to say it was a meaningless game because, I think at the high school level, everybody competes and wants to win. But really all that probably happened in that game was maybe ranking, like some Lax Hub rankings, some DTA rankings. I didn't see the game, but I'd be curious to know if both teams maybe played more guys, got some guys some experience, maybe didn't show a lot, just knowing that sections are coming up and win or lose, it wasn't really going to factor how anything was going to play out. But that being said, obviously North came to play, but kind of bumping back to last, I guess, prior to, right after our last podcast, Moorhead, I guess I was the first one on my list. Moorhead comes down and into Minnetonka and wins 9-8. And would you call this an upset? I don't think so. I would say these two teams are probably fairly close in like where they fall. And obviously it was a close game, but shout out to Moorhead for coming down. But I want to talk about that game because there was some chatter in the Discord. Someone was really upset about that game, saying like, Moorhead got lucky. They got good calls. It was this, that, and the other thing, right? And somebody then replied, and obviously it was a Moorhead fan or coach or parent, whatever, saying, why is it that when Moorhead wins that game, it's Moorhead got lucky or Tonka played bad, not Moorhead is a good team. And I agree with that. Like, I think, it is, I think I tweeted something about that a while ago of when you lose, it's like, oh, we played bad. But like when you have the upset, it's like we played good and like we're great and you're sleeping on us. It's just that weird narrative of in your head of like your own team. You always just assume it's like, oh, we played bad, if you lose. But it's never the other team played good or is better team than us.
Yeah, did you see the Brindamore clip this week? He was like, we lost 4 games, but we didn't we got swept, but we didn't lose the 4 games. They just kind of beat us.
Yeah.
It was a weird clip. I just wanted to like make some connection, but I agree with you, Ted. Like Moorhead came down and they beat Tonka. Props to Moorhead.
And
Easy as that.
Yeah, and did they get a bounce? Maybe, but you know what? There's games where where the other team gets a bounce. Like it all evens out in the end. And I agree with you. Like, and then they went and beat Hill Murray the next day by 1, so 2 1-goal games for them. Then come down to the Twin Cities and back to back against 2 tough teams, and go 2-0. So shout out to them. I'm sure that was a big weekend on their calendar to say, like, this is our chance to go down and, prove that we can play. Obviously, they had the big win against Shakopee earlier in the year. But I think, they're motivated to come down and play as tough a schedule as they can get their hands on.
No, yeah. Shout out to the scheduling team, aka the coach and the AD of Moorhead, to put that schedule together. Making an investment. They probably had some hotel rooms, a lot of buses. So shout out to them. To not defend Tonka, because I'm not going to defend them, but to probably point out, where their frustration is coming out from. 1-goal loss against Mott, 1-goal loss against Moorhead, 1-goal loss against Edina. They're 3 goals away from 1-goal loss against Buffalo. They're 4 goals away from having a much different looking record, and a lot, a few other fairly close games as well, competitive games against good programs. So, I'm sure Tonka is frustrated, and again, they're a team that's close. Clearly, a team that watch out in sections. If 1 or 2 adjustments, from the coaching staff clicks and the team hits a couple of blackjacks early and the table gets hot, watch out.
Yeah. They have, it's either them or Orono have the most 1-goal losses this year. I feel like Orono has like 4 overtime losses this year. So if could end up being a match in section 2, one of the matchups. If Tonka and Orono play in sections, that is going to be a 30 overtime game. Neither team will want to win. It will just be stalemate, and neither team will be able to score on the goalies. There might be a turnover. There might be a pipe. There might be a disallowed goal. There will be as many factors in that game to make it go on as long as possible, because Orono and Tonka this year have lost 1-goal overtime games, more, at least 3 each. So maybe only 2 for Tonka, but it just seems like both of those teams are like you said, a bounce, a goal away, couple goals away from having a much different record. And I do agree with you on the on sections. And Minnetonka is probably not a team you really want to play. I mean, you could look at their record, like you said, and be like, okay, this will be an easy game, but it won't be because the talent is there.
Absolutely. So obviously that was the first very interesting game off the hop. Any others from Friday or last, late last week that caught your eye?
Saturday. This one's interesting to me just because it's a Section 1 team, but Rochester Mayo beating St. Michael Albertville 13-12. Kind of one of Rochester's, they only have had a couple games this year where they got to play teams that weren't in the Big 9. And they got the 13-12 win. And at the time, this was on Saturday last week, I was like, okay, like that's a decent win. But then St. Michael ended up beating Chisago Lakes a couple nights ago. So like STMA is kind of coming out of nowhere. And so that's a quality win. And interesting. I don't want to say I expected St. Michael to beat Mayo. But yeah, I think it ends up being like a quality win for them. That's the only one from Saturday that was again like standing out as like an interesting score or unexpected. Um, Monday, Rogers 14 over Totino Grace 11. So we've been high on Totino, but Rogers, I think we talked about on the last podcast, on a heater.
They go on a 7 or 8 game heater.
Yeah, I think they just lost, unfortunately, but they had 7 or 8 games in a row they had won. Tuesday night was fireworks night. Um, at for MN Lax Hub. We had, well, we'll just start at the top. Rosemount beating Eastview 12-8. I don't know if that's an upset or not. I think those teams are, as someone who's played both of those teams, I think they're fairly I don't want to say similar, but I think they're fairly in the same kind of category as far as competitive level. I don't know, PMAC, your thoughts on those two?
They're both in the mix, right? Maybe Eastview had a hotter start, but now Rosemount seems to be closing the gap, maybe in the second half of the season. I don't know. Both of these teams, same conference, same section.
Yeah.
Both are going to be hard outs, on anybody in Section 6 trying to get to state.
Yeah, and so I think that one, I'll call it an upset because I think technically Eastview is ranked higher. And so nice win for Rosemount. And then probably the biggest shock. I don't know if it's the biggest shocker because PMAC, I believe I texted you last week and said Egan will beat Lakeville North. You can write this down.
There's screenshots, there's timestamps, there's proof behind the pudding on this one.
Egan upsets Lakeville North 14-13. Cardiac Cats, JP's favorite team, Ted's second favorite team. They just I have to hand it to Egan. They just compete. It doesn't matter who they play, and they've had some weird losses, but they've also had some massive wins this year, and it's just, I don't know, they're just a vibe.
Egan's my sleeper for Section 3 as a favorite. I think they're gonna break some hearts next week and shock the world, so to speak. And they're gonna, I mean, like you said, they kind of started out a little wobbly at the beginning of the year, lost to a section foe in St. Thomas Academy 4-7, but I mean that Lakeville North game, a 1-goal game in overtime, but it's still a huge win. So
and it's interesting because like Lakeville North Egan just matches up well with Lakeville North. And that's why I thought there was going to be the upset, because they're kind of similar in the sense that they win faceoffs, they're physical, they play fast, and they just try to, like, it's really fast paced. And Lakeville North makes their money on dominating faceoffs, getting their offense the ball, and just kind of burying teams in the first quarter before they've had a chance to breathe. And then teams start to panic, and then they get even more possessions. And then all of a sudden you're down by 14 goals. Well, Egan's kind of the same way. And they win faceoffs, and it looks like Paulus, had a good battle with Quinn. So Riley Paulus, the Egan faceoff guy, actually, I think they have 2 on Egan, 2 guys that do it. Actually had a better percentage, so they won more faceoffs than Quinn did, and I don't think many teams can say that this year. And so you give Egan chances on offense. They got a couple guys that can hit their shots from like way out. They play just kind of an unstructured freestyle play, and again they match up well. So interesting. We talk about selling the tape, right? I think Shakopee and Egan will be able to make some money on selling the tape for beating Lakeville North.
Moving on to another score that caught my eye. Matamidi, beating Tonka by 1, one of those, another Tonka 1-goal loss. Matamidi, who are they? Are they primed for a section run? Are they or are they not? Like I like 1 week I'm up on them, next week I'm down on them. They kind of finished the year with wins against Shakopee and Tonka. That's going to catch anybody's attention. What do we think about Mahtomedi here going into sections?
Yeah, so I mean the Zephyrs, they were my pick to win Section 4, and then got off to a good start beating Centennial in the first game, then got beat pretty good by Chan and STA, who are good teams. I would say, those may be games they're supposed to lose, but it wasn't really even close. And then a 7-1 loss to Woodbury after a couple games that they should have won. But mid-May comes around and they've won 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of their last 7 games. A loss to Hill Murray, which is interesting but not crazy, and then finish the year beating Minnetonka and Shakopee. So they're playing their best lacrosse right now when it matters. And I don't know who they are, to be honest with you. A nice win against
like a representation of the entire state. I don't know who any team is. I don't know who's going to show up at any game or when, what quarter. And Minnetonka is like the epitome of what has been happening across the state this year. Like I'm looking at their record right now, and it is like games they should have lost. They're winning games they should have won. They're getting blown out. Like it just doesn't. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, I don't. I hope that they ride the wave through the section tournament. I need us to. We should also probably go back and make a record of our preseason section rankings and see how we did. I'm sure people would love to see us go winless in all categories, but if it means Ted can get at least one in the win column, I would love to see Mahtomedi go win section 4.
Yeah. A little border battle between the Chesters, Chester Mayo and Chester Century 1-goal game in a border battle. That's basically my favorite category of games. Doesn't get much better than that. I know, Ted, the coach there or at one of the Chesters. Any insight into that game, or was it just a good old barn burner?
Which night? Tuesday,
still on Tuesday. Haven't gotten past Tuesday yet.
Is that a border battle or a civil war? Is that the same town or
same town? Yeah.
Civil war is another good way to put it.
Intercity. I'm surprised that it was this close, to be honest with you. I think Mayo is a much stronger team than Century this year, although Century got off to a great start, and we talked about them a few times on the podcast. Didn't see the game. I don't really know, but I think as we've talked about it, it kind of you kind of throw records out the window when you're playing that intercity Civil War border battle game. It kind of is like it's all on energy and juice, and just it's just that's just the way those games go. So my guess is that's the type of game that it was. I'm sure it was an exciting game and good win for Mayo.
Not a civil war, but maybe the private school version of one. STA versus CDH. JP, any insight into this 2-goal game?
Not from a lacrosse perspective, but I heard the student sections were electric. I mean, those two schools, they're small compared to the public schools, but their students, their fans show out, especially for any STA CDH game. If we didn't have 1 versus 2 matchup that I'm sure we'll get to on the girls' side, which was absolutely electric, this was the game I was going to go to. Same deal with the Rochester rivalry. I would have expected if we had a neutral site, normal crowd situation, STA to win this game by more than 2. But this is the epitome of throw the records out. Anything could happen any day of the week, any year. Glad to see STA come out on top. But yeah, no insight as far as the lacrosse game goes, but I don't think it would have done much anyway. Big rivalry game. Who knows what's going to happen?
Looking to a Wednesday, only one interesting score pops out. Totino Grace Ted's one of Ted's favorite teams this year, Spring Lake Park / Coon Rapids, 1-goal game. Ted, I know you follow Totino. Any comments on that one?
I didn't see or hear much about this game. As you can see, I was traveling down to Mankato that night, so I didn't get to follow as closely as I like. Totino, I think they had a great season, in the sense that compared to like previous years, they were 8-5 this year. They probably beat the teams they were supposed to and lost to the teams they were supposed to. I'll be interested to see how that program grows, but good way to kind of end the season for them with a win, heading into sections.
Looking at the box score of this one, TG was up 7-3 at half, and then Spring Lake Park put in 5 in the fourth quarter. I don't know how those goals went about, if they brought it to within one or TG had to get a goal to go up by 1 at the end of the game. But I know from watching TG play Blaine, it looked like they had a couple guys not dressed. Maybe they're dealing with some injuries, and the depth might be a trend. Kind of same thing happened in the Blaine game. Came out really hot, second half slowed down a little bit. Hopefully they've recovered now. They got a couple days off going into sections. I like the team a lot. Chatted with the coaching staff a little bit at the Blaine game. Nice group of guys. They actually shouted you out, Ted, when we were there. I think one of your former players is on that coaching staff now. But I like the team. And I will also say St. Anthony Village, who they co-op with, best logo in the state. I think I said it on an episode a couple weeks ago. Great stadium, but a team for the North Metro that I definitely have an eye
on. And we kind of talked about last night's scores. There's a couple interesting ones that we kind of already shouted out. Nothing that I'm seeing we missed.
One game I do want to shout out from Tuesday.
We'll
have to dive into it, but Wayzata beat White Bear Lake. Again, I don't know if you call this an upset. I would probably say both teams are kind of in the similar range, but a really nice win for Wayzata. They've been close this year, and I would consider that a quality win on their resume as they walk into that section seating meeting to talk about where they should land. And Wayzata only loses 2 seniors this year.
Ooh.
And only one of them plays extensive minutes. Simon Kimlinger, shout out Team 36 guy, great kid. So that will be a loss for them, but everybody else comes back. So Wayzata might be a team to look out for in the future.
Also, one last quick game before we dive into the next topic, but I saw Duluth play Kennedy. Not the most exciting game I've ever seen, but Duluth was talking to me afterwards. Their players think they should be put in the juggernaut position of the rankings. They think they're the number 1 team in the state. They won by 14 goals. So I mean, at least for Wednesday night, they backed up their talk. But yeah. I don't know if you want to consider that for the next rankings, if we're going to do power rankings once we get into section playoffs. But
yeah, I think we should do a power ranking of teams that played on Wednesday night, the 24th, after 6 p.m.
Well, that'll be one of the categories for next week. As of 9 o'clock, May 24th.
No, they've been up and down this year, but honestly, Section 7 is wide open. So I would not be surprised if they went on a run and had a chance to. They played Chisago Lakes tough this year, so they most certainly have a chance to get through Section 7.
I liked what I saw out of them. They got 2 good attackmen, small, scrappy guys that were all over the place. Looked like they're hockey guys. I mean, their sticks were down below their waist the whole time, but they were hitting shots. I think they could make some noise. They're a huge program. I think they had the JV guys on the sideline, but combined they had looked like 50 kids over there. So love to see that Duluth has a strong, solid program up there. Glad we could finally see a game of theirs too. Excited to see them in the playoffs.
Katie's still dealing with with appliance stuff, so not a problem because we can still take a peek at sections. We can look at our section rankings at the beginning of the year. Who was right, who was wrong, who's clueless, who's still clueless. And we can kind of rip through these sections. I know Section 8 looks like they're already online. Shout out to them on their seating. but all the meetings are kind of going on this morning. So maybe they start rolling out while we chat, but I am gonna probably doubt it. So starting at the top, section 1. Just kind of glancing at our season preview. Lakeville North obviously was kind of the favorite among the group. Farmington in the mix. We all had Northfield in the mix. It looks like Mankato and then Rochester Mayo. Am I looking at that correctly?
Yep.
I'm trying to look at this graphic right now, and thank God we switched up how we were laying it out, because this
Agreed.
is, and I'll put my hand up for this one. This was on me. The most confusing bracket or rankings that I've ever read in my life, and I made it, and I don't even know what I'm looking at. But I mean,
that was preseason. We were still in preseason form. I can't expect you to be in playoff form when it's February and March. This was probably February. This was in February. I can't expect you to be in June form when we're still in February. So,
I appreciate that.
JP, don't be too hard on yourself. I think probably if I remember correctly, I was pumping Northfield's tires pretty hard. Obviously probably tried to pump and dump their stock a little too much for where they're at currently. But North lived up to the hype. The Electric Factory, Tigers in the mix. Cato made a little bit of noise, right? Did they have some wins, or am I kind of off on that one?
Yep. I don't think it's been officially released yet,
Okay.
but the assumption amongst, I don't know, my coaching staff is that it's going to be North, Farmington, Mayo, Mankato will be the top 4.
And those are 4 teams we kind of had in the mix. So
Northfield was the one that I surprisingly was much farther down than I think a lot of people thought.
Yeah.
But shout out to Mankato and Mayo for kind of jumping up into the top part of the, I guess Mankato was number 4 last year too. So they got a strong team. And I think trending in the right direction.
Ted, you almost nailed that. You got 3 of the 4 in the right seedings as well. You got North, Farmington, you got Northfield as a 3, but you called Mankato at the 4. So you know your section.
Yeah, thank you.
Any predictions, or I feel like North and Farmington still very well, in the mix, kind of like last year a little bit. Do we have any wild card predictions from anybody? I think I'm kind of gonna ride the 2 heavyweights on in this section.
Ted, you might hate me for saying this, but I think Mayo at the 3 seed might make the upset over Farmington. Might make the section 1 final. I got them playing against Lakeville North, and Mayo might just shock the world. I mean, Northfield's been beat, or I keep saying Northfield. Lakeville North has been beat this year. Who knows? Mayo might be making a run at the state tournament.
So Ted, you've played Mayo. What are they looking like? And you're gonna have to potentially play them here in a week or 2.
Yeah.
What are they looking like, and what's been a major part of their success this season?
Yeah, I mean we played them like mid-April. It was like our second or third game. I don't even know, 3rd game, 4th game. And they were winning late 3rd quarter, I think 6-5, and we ended up winning 9-6. Really athletic team, high energy team. I won't say have a chip on their shoulder because that's negative. They play with purpose. They are there to win. Like, this is not an after school activity for them. They're there to win. And they will give you 48 minutes. And I mean, I'm hopefully though, if the seedings kind of end up how we think, I'm excited that we'll have we'd have to win to get to a semi. But a home game against them versus us having to travel to Rochester, I think that would have been a big home field advantage for them. Or it gives us a little bit of an advantage with the travel. So that is nice. But I mean, tough team having a great season compared to last year. I think they were like 4-11 or something like that. So they've really turned it around.
They had their last 4 games, one being at Rochester Century, which isn't really traveling for them. The last 4 games, we'll call it, have been at home, all big wins. I think they've brought the team back. Everyone's got the vibe going. They're all fired up, and now they can go out and travel up to Farmington or wherever they got to go. I think they're ready to make a run. I think Mayo is my sleeper pick all the way for Section 1.
Love that choice. Love that choice. On to Section 2, looking at our preseason rankings. Our rankings were all over the place. I feel like it kind of identified the section correctly almost. Everyone was kind of beating everybody. There's some surprises. I was completely wrong. I don't know if I could have gotten this section more wrong. So I raised my hand. I'm clueless. I might be the most clueless one here. If I had to guess off the top of my head here to kind of set up this conversation, I'm going to guess Chan number 1, Shakopee number 2. From there, are you going EP, Tonka, then Buffalo? I was completely way off on Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Yeah, 1 and 2 certainly are going to be Chan Shakopee or Shakopee Chan, some combination of those two. Buffalo beat Minnetonka, so that could factor just in head-to-head, I guess competition. Did Eden Prairie beat Buffalo and Tonka?
I'm looking. They lost to Tonka and they beat Buffalo. So
yeah,
not
so
helping at all.
now you got a situation where Tonka or Buffalo beat Tonka, Tonka beat Eden Prairie beat Buffalo. So now we got to start looking at other games. I think Minnetonka had a tough schedule this year, and could potentially argue that. Eden Prairie, I think, has a better record than Minnetonka, but did they play as hard at games? I don't know. This one will be an interesting. I think it's going to be those 5 teams are going to be in the mix.
This might be a longer section meeting. There might be some arguing going on and stats being rolled out and like you said, the head-to-heads, and this one might be a little less clear cut than maybe we looked at one other section. So
I think you're right, PMAC. I think it's going to be Chan, Shakopee, Eden Prairie, Minnetonka, Buffalo. I think Tonka can argue the schedule over Buffalo's schedule, despite the head-to-head loss.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall for that meeting because I think you're right. I think that's going to be a contentious meeting in a professional way, but you got to go to bat for your teams. I think, though, if I'm Minnetonka, I'd almost want the 5 seed because they've had a rough go in the last couple weeks, losing, like you said, they're 3 goals away from a much different record. And if you get the 5 seed, a little more disrespect, those guys have already got to be fired up. I know you said the chip on the shoulder might be a negative outlook, but they got to be a little bit pissed off and fired up after losing 3 overtime games or 3 1-goal games. Add to the fire, get the 5 seed, shock the world, be the team that everyone's sleeping on now. But I think Tonka's fit to make a run. But I don't know. I think this is going to be Section 2 is going to be an exciting one. I think Chan is primed to it's their section tournament to win. I think it's the easy pick, but Shakopee Chan is my section final matchup. But who knows? One of those other 3 teams might make a run. They've kind of all been all over the place. Don't really know what to think of them. But yeah, I think that one's going to be an exciting one.
On to Section 3. Another section kind of all over the place. We were way off on Woodbury. Woodbury came to play. St. Thomas, Egan, obviously in the mix. CDH, up in the mix as well.
I actually just got a text with the Section 3 seeds.
Okay, so let me guess off literally my gut, without looking at records and head-to-heads. My gut's telling me you go Woodbury 1, St. Thomas 2, Egan 3, CDH 4.
Very close. Very close. Woodbury, Egan, STA, Cretan.
Whoa.
STA 3.
STA
Whoa.
3.
Wow.
So I actually, when I was looking at this, thought it should be Egan 1, STA 2, Woodbury 3. I know Woodbury's had a great season, and they have the win against STA. They lost to Egan, but they also lost to Stillwater. And like most, I don't know, I didn't think their schedule was as tough as Egan and STA's. But they did get the job done. So I'm not going to sit here and say this is wrong. Honestly, between Woodbury, Egan, STA, since they all beat each other, you could probably put any three of those teams anywhere. But yeah, tip of the cap to Woodbury. I didn't think they were going to be as good as they were this year, and they certainly have proven that to be wrong. So nice job. This should be a fun section tournament.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think any of those three teams could get the nod for the 1 seed, and people would agree with it. I'm excited for that potential STA matchup. I like when you can book into season like that. I think Egan's going to come out much better than 4 goals than they did in the first game. I don't know. These sections are all kind of a toss up right now, and I love it because I want the parity to carry on that we had all regular season. I need some upsets. I need some shakeups and new teams, new colors at the state tournament. I don't even know who to pick. CDH could make an upset over Woodbury. I'm gonna pick STA as my favorite just because I'm gonna stay true to my favorite team. But yeah, who knows?
Section 4, our preview again, kind of all over the place. We had people and I think it kind of previewed the type of season we had with the parity and everyone beating everybody. The only team I could, maybe we were a little bullish on Irondale. Stillwater, if I had to guess, are they probably the clear-cut one? I don't know. You got Mott and you got White Bear Lake kind of in the mix, kind of winning some games. And then Hill Murray, not far behind them. So maybe a little high on Irondale. I don't know. Again, I don't know if this section's released. Maybe I'm way off, just kind of thinking off the top of my head where our heads at, and has this been released yet? Where are we at in section 4?
I mean, Stillwater's got to be the 1 seed, right?
They're gonna be the one because they beat White Bear. They've only lost to BSM, Edina, and Prior Lake. So
Yeah.
I mean, those are 3 quality, quote unquote quality losses. They beat White Bear, they beat Irondale. I'm pretty sure they played Irondale, but I mean, they've taken care of business. I don't think they played Matamidi, did they?
They did not.
So that'll be interesting. If I had to guess, did White Bear and Matamidi play?
One moment. I think my guess while I'm looking, it's going to be Stillwater, White Bear, Hill Murray at the 3.
Oh,
And I don't even know who's at the 4. It could be Irondale, but Matamidi and White Bear did not play, it looks like. Interesting.
Yeah. So a lot of this will be an interesting section meeting because there wasn't a lot of head-to-head. And so you got a lot of teams kind of arguing strength of schedule, quality losses, quality wins. I think Matamidi, with their win over Shakopee last night and then Minnetonka a couple nights ago, that certainly helps them. And their win against Eden Prairie, they've got some quality wins under their belt. White Bear has a lot of close losses, but they lost to Egan, they lost to Duluth, they lost to Woodbury by 1, they lost to Stillwater by 1. So they've been like in the mix, but Matamidi might have more, I guess, quality wins on their resume versus we played tough teams close, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear you. I think Irondale is going to be a tough out. I like their record is not great, but like they played some close, tough games against good teams. They're not going to be my favorite for a section semifinal or a final, but I think whoever plays them, I would assume they're going to be the 4 seed. It's going to be a tough game for Stillwater. They only lost to Stillwater by 3 early on in the year. I don't know. People are probably getting annoyed with me at this point because I keep saying it's all a toss up and I have no idea what I'm talking about. But we've known this since February. I have no idea what I'm talking about. So
I think the interesting thing too is Hill Murray beat Matamidi. So like that's gonna be there's a head to head there. I don't know. So yeah, crazy. I don't think this has been released yet, but that will certainly be an interesting kind of an interesting tournament and how that shakes out. Should have some competitive games though.
we weren't really that far off with our preseason rankings. I'll say that. We were kind of all over the place, but we kind of nailed the top 4.
On to section 5. Maybe a little more of a predictable section. You got Benilde, you've got Maple Grove, who maybe overexceeded DTA Nation's expectations, but we had them 2 or 3, and they're going to probably be 2 or 3. Armstrong in the mix. Blake, probably were a little high on them. Wayzata probably has a case for the 4 seed. I don't know. But I guess off the top of my head, I might have been the closest. I'm guessing it's going to be Benilde, probably Maple Grove, probably Armstrong, and then maybe Wayzata.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's destined for Maple Grove, Benilde in the final. I think Maple Grove gets this one. I really do. I really think Maple Grove is going to shock the world. They're going to be the people's favorite for Section 5. Knock down the big giant that Benilde is. I don't know, man. They're hot. People forget too. Brand new coach. I mean, not new to coach in lacrosse, but new to Maple Grove, and he took them to an 11-1 season. I mean, that's insane. That's a great season for a tenured coach at a program, but to do it in your first year with a new coaching with guys you never coached with before, new team, that's a hell of a feat. And I think Maple Grove keeps riding the wave and continues to surprise the world. And I think they're taking down Benilde.
That I know this has been the year of the upset, but this is the miracle on turf if that happens. It'd be a documentary in the making for that. Just Benilde's been just playing at such a high level for the last 2 weeks that and this is not to take anything away from Maple Grove. It's just if that happens, JP, you can certainly blast that you can clip that and blast that all over social media.
I will be at that game if it happens for sure, and I will put my foot in my mouth if I lose that prediction. But I'm hoping it happens. I need some big upsets in this section playoffs.
On to section 6, where the cluelessness really gets pointed out. Katie may have been the closest on this one because she was the only one that had Edina in the mix. It looks like, according to social media, I haven't confirmed on MSHSL, that the bracket is out. Rosemount, thanks for taking us. Edina 1, Eastview 2, PL3, and Rosemount 4. So no one had this one right. None of us were really all that close. And shout out to Katie for having Edina in the top 4 in the preseason.
And
shout out to JP for not having PL at number 1.
Yeah.
True.
Shout out to Edina, though. I mean, they proved us wrong. That's for sure. I think they had no doubts in themselves at any point this year. But, I mean, that's for us to all kind of sleep on them and them not only get into the top 4, but take the 1 seed. I think Edina's a good team. There's nothing else you can say about it. And I think they definitely earned that 1 seed and they deserved it.
Yeah, they're certainly the team to beat in the section, and they will be hosting throughout the playoffs until they get to the state tournament if they make it that far. Definitely we're wrong on them, or at least I was probably a little high on Jefferson hype. Maybe that was the having the coach on factor. Then we get sucked into the hype. They've had a very tough schedule though. Jefferson has, and they've played pretty much all of the top 10 teams in the state.
Yeah, they're not going to be an easy out.
No, that like if let's just say they end up being I don't know, are they the 5? I would assume.
Yeah.
That they might be the toughest 5 seed in the state in all the sections. I mean, they're not and like they haven't been really blown out by any of the top teams except maybe the Benilde game. Like it's been right there with everybody. And like their defense is strong. So I would assume they're going to be in the game, right? Like in this 4-5 matchup against, is it Rosemount?
Yep.
I think like I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Maybe it will be. But I don't know. Sleeper team, maybe a little high on them early on, but yeah, not an easy out, as PMax said.
Well, and I know it was the first game of the year, but Jefferson and Rosemount played each other. Rosemount won 6-5. Again, first game of the season, so it doesn't really do much for us now. But that's going to be probably one of the best first round games across the state. And I really don't know which way that's going to go because Rosemount's been they're trending in the right direction right now. But Jefferson is battle tested. I've gotten to see them play twice. They've got a great roster, and I haven't had a chance to see Rosemount in person, but I don't know who's going to win that game. And I think that is easily the best first round game that we have.
Yeah, I would agree. And, I've got some Section 6 bias. I think it's the deepest section in the state. And no real easy outs, through the top 5 easily. So it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a battle, as always. On to Section 7. Another section, I'm looking at our preseason rankings. We have teams all over the place. We have I have a team at 2 that nobody else had. Like, I don't know where our heads were at that week. And looking at it, I don't even know. Is Centennial the clear-cut 1? Is that even?
So that's interesting because I was going to have Chisago Lakes be the 1.
Okay.
Originally, this was like a few weeks ago because they were undefeated. They were blowing out all the teams they played, which were just, they're the superior team in their area and they're crushing everybody. So I'm like, they're, obviously a good team. It's not like they're winning 7-6. They're winning 21-0. But Duluth played them tough to a 3-goal game. And then St. Michael Albertville just upset them this past, I think it was on Tuesday night. So I think Centennial can now argue strength of schedule is more like they could get the 1 because even though they don't have the record, they've played a way tougher schedule. I don't know if that will happen. I could definitely see Chisago Lakes getting the 1. I wouldn't be opposed to that. But I'm sure now there's a lot more conversation that needs to be had. Blaine, I would assume, is in the mix somewhere in the top 4.
4-ish, probably 4.
And is Duluth
3
then because
Duluth
of
3?
That win against White Bear maybe bumps them up. They were struggling at first, but yeah, I mean, I don't know who else you would put in Section 7 in the top 4 besides those teams. I don't think Grand Rapids Greenway. They're 5-6 this year, so I think that's probably not going to get it done. Spring Lake Park, Coon Rapids. They are 2-11, so they will not be in the top 4. Who else do we have? Anoka. I feel like Anoka's had a decent season.
They had their moments. I think they had their moments.
7-6, so maybe Anoka. I don't know. Anoka's probably the 5 then. I think the top 4 are Centennial, Blaine, Duluth, Chisago in some order.
I really hope we get a Chisago Duluth matchup because in my post-game interview with Duluth, I asked them what they were looking forward to for the section playoffs, who they had their eye on for matchup, and they specifically said Chisago. They won another crack at them. They 3-goal game. Duluth is a solid team, and I think that's going to be primed for a potential upset. Duluth is kind of a sleeper if they get the right matchup for them. Maybe they make it to a section final, maybe can make some noise. I don't really know what to think about this one. I think Centennial is the one. I think they're also the favorite. They're more battle tested than anybody else. So who knows? They also have some losses on there that are on their record that are some question marks, but they also played to a 1-goal game with Maple Grove. So Centennial has it in there somewhere to be a good team, to be a great team. So I think they're the favorite all the way.
Last but not least on the boys' side, sorry to keep you waiting, Katie. Section 8. A team a section that we took some chances on some people, and it might revert back to the mean. Is that what the people say? It reverts back to the mean. Is that a math term? Is that what's happening? Are we just getting back to normal? Is Moorhead, and is everybody else kind of everybody else?
Yeah. I mean, so STMA has had 2 good wins at the end of the year here, so that may project them to the 2. But Elk River played Moorhead the toughest out of all these teams in a 9-8 game. And then Sartell Sauk Rapids, they're 8-5. They haven't really beat anybody of significance. They've kind of taken care of the teams that they should have. A 4-3 loss to St. Michael, but a 12-3 loss to Moorhead. I don't know. I would say it's probably some combination of Moorhead, Elk River, STMA, and Sartell Sauk Rapids.
I think we also kind of slept on St. Cloud. They're the 4 seed. They get to play Sartell in their first game, who they lost to 5-6 just 2 weeks ago.
It's out.
Yeah. This one is out. This one is official.
Okay, so what's the official rankings?
We got Moorhead 1, Elk River 2, STMA 3, St. Cloud 4, and Sartell 5.
Okay.
So
this could actually be an interesting section tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's Moorhead section to lose. They're if you look at it, they're obviously the superior team, but like you said, St. Michael Albertville's playing kind of their best lacrosse right now. Elk River proved that they can run with Moorhead in the right situation. And St. Cloud, I think they have a couple really good players. I don't know what the depth is like there, but yeah, this could be an interesting run. I have a question about Section 8 though.
Go ahead.
If Moorhead wins, are they automatically the 8th seed in the state tournament like the last 2 years? Because they have some quality. They have that Shakopee win and that Minnetonka win. Are you just automatically saying they're the 8th seed, have to play Benilde?
So are you saying the winner of Section 2 needs to be the 8th seed at the state tournament? Is that what you're saying?
Not saying that. You could imply, but I'm just saying it's been kind of like, oh, Section 8, they're going to go in and be the 8th seed at the state tournament. Well, Moorhead has built a nice little resume for themselves this year. If they make it, if Benilde makes it, it could be Maple Grove. According to JP, it could be Maple Grove. Last 2 years, Benilde and Moorhead have had to be that. Moorhead has had to play Benilde in the first round. But have they done enough to maybe get a 7 or a 6 this year?
So I think Section 7 could be a potential 8 seed. I think not 6, probably not 5.
I think if Moorhead wins, it's Section 7 gets the 8 seed. I think Moorhead is. I mean, they have been to the state tournament. They've seemed to have taken another step this year. Like I don't think it's fair to them to keep putting them in the 8th seed and expecting them to do anything with it. I mean, you put any team in a first round matchup with Benilde, let's just say, and it's a tough win to get. It's been the most difficult win for any team to get in the last 4 years.
And then
So-
section 3 could be like a 7. And then depending on who comes out of section 2, they could be an 8. So yeah, Moorhead could be a 5 at this point.
Yeah, I think they deserve it. Absolutely, I think they deserve it.
They have definitely done enough in my book this year if they make it to state to
Yeah.
argue not being. I know it's unseeded, like the top 5 are seeds and then the last 3 are unseeded, but we all know it's not that way. It's just so feelings don't get hurt. That's a 2023 world. They don't want to hand out an 8 seed to somebody. They don't want someone to feel like they're the 8th best team in the state, right? It's the top.
Which is
It's
it's
a top
so
5
it's
and-
so
and 3
silly.
and 3. Everybody, it's up for, it's subjective. They can all say they're the 6 then, right? But interesting time of year. So before we head to the girls, will we have any upsets? Because this has been the year of the upset in the regular season. Is it just going to be number ones just rolling through to the state tournament just to kind of spite the upsets of the regular season?
All right, let's quickly rip through each section. Section 1, I don't think there's going to be an upset. Say yes or
do.
no. Say yes or no.
Yeah. Yes, being there's an upset or no. What? Wait.
Yes, an upset or no, not an upset.
Yes, an upset. Mayo. I got Mayo. I'm being serious. I think they're
I
gonna
think
be some
Farmington.
noise.
Yes, an upset. I think Ted. I think Farmington will do it.
I
You
abstain.
don't have to vote if you don't want to.
I abstain from section 1.
Section 2, I don't think there will be an upset.
I don't think you can call it an upset if the 1 seed doesn't win. I think that the top 3 teams are all good enough to win the section. So I don't know if it's a
It's an
quote-unquote
upset. It is
Yeah,
one
yeah,
making it out.
yes.
Is one
No.
making it out.
No.
No,
Well, wait. Who's the one? Chan or Shakopee?
Chan.
we don't know.
Assuming Chan.
Yes.
Assuming Chan.
Yes.
I do not think there will be an upset. I think Chan
I
makes it
do.
out. You think what?
They'll get upset.
Okay.
I think Chan makes it out.
JP.
Yes, I think there will be an upset.
Section 4. Boys. Who did we say was the one?
3.
I skipped
We didn't
3.
do 3.
Section 3. Sorry. Who did we say was the one?
Woodbury. Woodbury will win. No upset.
I think there will be an upset in section 3.
I do too.
I'll
Katie?
go with JP and say no.
Section that makes it 4 now. Stillwater, the one. You know what? I'm feeling upset. Because this one's crazy. Like Matamidi and White Bear Lake are wild cards. So I think there will be an upset. Yeah, I think section 4 is vulnerable for an upset.
I
I
think
think it's going to be a tough section, but I think no upset. Stillwater wins.
I think upset. I think if any of those top 4.
upset.
Section 5, I don't think there's an upset. I think Benilde makes it.
Upset.
Same.
Maple Grove all the way.
Section 6, Edina being the one. I think this is a wild card of a section. I don't even know if PL, I'm not saying PL will make it out for sure. But I think there's going to be upsets all over the place.
I think Edina wins this section easily.
I think there's upsets.
I'm gonna go no upset. No upset. I don't think Edina's gonna win it easily, but I do think Edina will win this section.
Section 7, did we determine or confirm Centennial, or is that who we just assumed? I can't remember.
Just assuming. I
Assumption.
have no idea.
Assuming Centennial, I think Centennial makes it out. So no upset for me.
I say
Yeah, no
upset.
I say upset. I think Chisago will make it out.
And then the Moorhead section, a couple teams in the mix, but I think it's Spudwagon all the way. No upset.
Yeah.
Same.
But
We all agree on that one.
Oh no.
Oh, the kiss of death! Can't do it to Spudwagon.
We didn't do it to Benilde in section 5, and then Spudwagon in section 8.
Oh no. Oh no. We're all sorry in advance to Spudwagon, but I think they will power through, and I'm very confident in that. Over to the girls. I know we're getting long, but the girls deserve the same treatment. A week of great games. And was that a burp or was that a slurp?
A slurp, sorry. That's why I
Sure.
muted myself. I'm
Sure.
getting under the bottom of my coffee. I need a
Oh,
refill.
okay. Yeah, sure. No, I'm just kidding.
Mhm.
So, a week of great games. We were all at an absolute barn burner of a 1-2, but we don't have to start there. Katie, I know we were getting notes, we're getting texts, we're getting messages.
Where do we
we're getting
start?
I
You
don't
went
know.
through this. You went through the conferences, right?
So we could start at conference championships. Do you want to shout them out?
Did you do that for the girls, or
We did not do that for the
just
girls. We've
boys?
only done boys. We haven't done anything
Let's
for the
start there
girls.
then.
Conference championships.
That's in
Shout
standings.
out the conference champs.
Big Nine, Owatonna, 10-3.
10-0
Right,
in the
it's just the
section
top
too.
team. What?
10-0 in the section too. Well done.
Oh wow, good for them. Good for them. Greater West Metro, we've got Chisago Lakes by a landslide with an undefeated season. We'll talk about them more. Independent Metro Athletic, Blake, clear winner.
Do you get a
8-5.
section or a conference title for that as an independent?
I don't know. You're right. I don't
I
know.
think so.
Well, then there's independent underneath them too. So there's independent Metro and independent, which would be Grand Rapids Greenway over Moorhead. Interesting. Don't know what they win. Don't know if they win anything. Well, Lake Conference, regardless, Edina took that over EP. Metro East, Hill Murray. Metro West, Benilde. Northwest Suburban, Maple Grove, to a close Champlain Park. South Suburban, Lakeville South, 2 years in a row. Suburban East, Park of Cottage Grove, outstanding season, 12-1. Stillwater was right behind them. Tri-Metro, St. Croix Prep, your hedge fund, PMAC. Wright County, Hutchinson takes it over Southwest Christian, which is interesting. And that's that.
Shout out to all of those teams on a great regular season. It takes a lot of consistency. You got to show up night after night after night playing good lacrosse to win your conference. So shout out to all of those teams winning their conferences. On to interesting games of the week on the girls' side. Let's start late last week, Friday, Saturday. Catherine, what games are catching your eye and the source's eye?
Did we talk about Thursday? There was one on Thursday. Edina beating Wayzata. I don't know if we talked about that one or not, but remember when we thought Wayzata was something? I hate to say it, but they're out with that score. Edina beat them last Thursday.
Okay.
So I guess Friday, Gentry putting on the miles, Sugar Lake Lodge, weekend at Sugar Lake Lodge, drive up there. They beat Grand Rapids Greenway. I think they came down and then back up to Duluth and ended up beating them, of course, but they want to be recognized for their miles, their Sky Miles. Friday, also a big score that came in was Lakeville South and Stillwater was like tied at one point, and Lakeville South only won 10-4, and I think was the closest margin to the whole season. So shout out Stillwater. That was definitely a big game. Everyone was watching. Like I said, it was kind of back and forth. It was tied. It was close. It was tied like 2-2 for a while, I think. So that game everybody was watching for sure. Saturday, any of them sticking out to you guys?
I was turning off. My aunt's got opera music playing all over the house. So I turned it off quick, so I missed it. Did we talk about the TG Spring Lake Park game 3-2 on Friday?
What a defensive battle!
Yeah,
Wow.
I saw TG play a couple weeks ago. I liked what I saw. They lost to Anoka, unfortunately, in that game, but a 3-2 game. That's
3-2.
Yeah, I just
3-2.
I don't have any other notes on that, but just
Yeah,
initial
but 3-2
report from Friday.
defensive battle. You're right. Good call amongst the opera music.
Yeah,
Saturday.
a score on Saturday that catches my eye is Eastridge, who's put together a nice little regular season 9-4 record. 1 goal barn burner against Hill Murray, who has a solid squad, I believe.
Yeah.
8-5. They had a solid regular season as well. Barn burner of a game, and the Eastridge etches one out in a close one.
I love a 1-goal game, but also the one I got a photo from some Team 36 girls, New Prague, Apple Valley. Close game, 13-11. But I know that was a fun game for some of my players, so that was good. But yeah, I love a 1-goal game, couple goal games. They're starting to be fun at the end of the season here.
Yeah, and New Prague finishes the season with a winning record. A newer program, up and coming kind of area for lacrosse. So, shout out to them for having a good little regular season they put together.
How about the other side of Bison Boulevard as well, winning 27-0 over Sartell Stock Rapids? I mean, that 18 goals in the first half, that's insane. You're getting 3 games worth of goals in one game.
Yeah, that's what I would call an absolute butt kicking.
Yeah. Probably against the little handshake agreement that the coaches had at the beginning of the season, it sounds like, of a 19-goal differential. That's besides the point.
I did do a little blog post for the people. I got some help from Chat GPT, right? Chat GPT.
Yep.
I don't know what it is.
Oh yeah,
GTP? GPT.
GBT.
Okay.
I got a little help from the AI tool, and I did a little blog post, a little partnered blog post about running up the score. So check out downthealleypod.com and go to PMAX Rants to check that out. On to kind of the weekday games. Katie,
nothing really sticks out on Monday to me.
You just want to jump to Tuesday's game.
I do.
Yeah, you do. Let's jump to Tuesday.
Nothing sticks out on Monday. Does anything stick out to you?
No, and I agree with you. Let's get to Tuesday. I'll tee up Prior Lake, Lakeville South, the 1, Prior Lake, the 2. The top 2 teams, regular season matchup. Last game for both teams, I believe.
No,
Lakeville sorry,
South played Northfield.
I made that
Thursday.
up.
Yeah, it was Prior Lake's last game of the season.
Prior Lake's last game of the season. The conference championship on the line, down the alley on the sideline, up in the booth, on the stream, down the alley, everywhere for this one. It lived up to all expectations and more. Catherine, give us a rundown. JP, add side notes, and I'll come in at the end if you miss anything. I doubt you will.
I mean, people came out of the woodwork for this game. The college kids, the alum are back. The media sources are there. Parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, people who live in the community that have never seen a lacrosse game before came out for this game. There were fans in the state. Like, I think there were probably more fans at this game than some state championships have gotten. At least it looked like that. I don't know, like capacity or whatever like that.
Like, I'm a Prior Lake guy. There was townies. I'm like, what are you doing at a lacrosse game, buddy?
Yeah, but like riding their bikes.
Welcome.
Free. Yeah, free to get in.
I saw Lakeville South play Benilde earlier in the year, not to diminish the Prior Lake faithful for helping out the crowd, but man, does Lakeville South travel well. They fans,
bring
their parents,
out their people.
They're loud, they're rowdy, they're supportive, they're stomping their feet on the stands the whole time.
Which nobody likes. Nobody likes that. That we can stop. But this, you know what I mean? This is not a bunch of second graders sitting around stomping their feet. But they do bring a lot of people. So they can just cheer loudly next time. It was
great atmosphere.
Interesting. So we flip-flop. And last year, I think it was maybe like a 4-goal differential. But there was like, we talk about all the time, like this looming storm that came through. And like in like the second half, the temperature drops 20 degrees, big gusts of wind, take the tent off the sideline. Kind of one of those things that it's just like bizarro weather. This year we couldn't have asked for a better weather situation, but back and forth. I think Prior Lake ends up getting ahead they go on like a 5 or 7 goal run in the second half to gain the lead for the first time in the game. Maybe not the first time in the game, but it was back and forth, 1 goal, 2 goal, up and down. And then Prior Lake ended up getting up, and then Lakeville South came out, and it was a little bit more back and forth. There was a very controversial offsides call that wasn't offsides. We watched the film. They called Prior Lake offsides as we had possession. There were, in fact, 5 girls back, so we had more than enough people over the 30. Possession, turnover, goal, kind of changed a little bit of the course. I'm not blaming the refs. We're happy that the refs they're out, and we got some good ones reffing our games, but that definitely was kind of a factor. Always a factor. Calls can always not make or break, but change the course of momentum. There also was a timeout at one point that changed the course of momentum. So just really, really, really well played on both sides. Obviously a super fun game to watch, kind of makes you sweat a little bit, 1 goal game. Really fun to see fans. Great. Like, honestly, in my opinion, I thought it was a really clean game for 2 teams that are really competitive and really skilled. It was fun to see like the skills shine, and we weren't getting chippy with each other. So that was good to see on my end.
It was the best game I've been to all year. Easily the best game I've been to. Maybe the best game I've been to of Minnesota lacrosse that I have seen. It was, like you said already, back and forth. Both teams went on big runs. I think it was 6-3 at half, or 6-2 maybe.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, Prior Lake went on that 6-goal run to take all the momentum back. Lakeville South not phased by it, tied it up again. Then they went on their run to take a lead a bit. Prior Lake got there, tied it up again. It was a fantastic game on all accounts. I will say as well, I know there's some controversy with the refs. Being on the sideline, I could hear the refs talking to the players. I actually really, really like this crew for the fact that anytime something would happen, there's one ref in particular, she was the shorter one on my side most of the game. Anytime something was happening, very calmly explaining what she was saying, where the players should be going on the resets, telling them why she was calling stuff, appropriately telling them, like, do this or that, as opposed to sometimes in the boys game, they just say, watch the sticks when they're just slapping each other in the back. That's not really helping anybody. So I was impressed with that crew. Understand the frustrations on the Prior Lake side with that. But I mean, do you want to recap the end of the game? Do you want me to do it? It was one of the wildest finishes I've ever seen. So 6 minutes left in the game. Lakeville South calls a timeout. They get the ball back on their end, running time. They bring it down to 4 minutes. This was when the Lakeville South fans started stomping on the bleachers, which, maybe mid-game, don't do it. Lakeville South.
No one likes it ever.
No one likes it. They get the goal, go up, win the draw again, get the ball back on their end. They're stalling time. It's like 4 minutes left in the game.
No stall rule in girls.
Yep, they keep running it down. We get under 2 minutes, so we're into stoppage time. So they're still keeping the ball, and the clock keeps on ticking. I think I'm like about to start packing up my camera. I think it's over. Then all of a sudden, there's a big turnover, and a penalty happens. And Prior Lakes, I think you guys called a timeout, or maybe there's a delay with the penalty. They've got the ball on their 20-yard line. There's like 15 seconds left, and I still am thinking, maybe, who knows? And then I don't know who the player was. I wish I did, but
Keely Moling.
Sprints down the field through the entire Lakeville South midfield, is ducking and dodging sticks like her life depends on it. Gets down into the arc. Penalties called. We can't tell if the game's over or what's going on. They call the penalty. Refs made the right play. 0 time on the clock, but let the 8-meter go. I get set up right behind the net. I'm getting ready to get one of the best shots of the year. 8 meter, 8 meter, and then Lakeville South just barely gets a stick in to block the shot. Ball goes over the net. Game ends. Lakeville South wins it. It was absolutely wild. I've never seen any lacrosse game at any level end so perfectly. I mean, it was a battle literally until the very last second of the game, and it could not have gone any better, at least from an unbiased fan perspective. It was
Agreed.
great.
Yeah, it was definitely like intense. It was fun. Yeah, shout out to Keely. She is an actual sprinter. She did both track and lacrosse last year. So she does run as like I think her other sport. I think she does do cross country. So she is definitely your kind of dream midfielder, that's for sure. From a speed and like endurance perspective. But yeah, it was a great game. Some other games that also I want to shout out.
Hold on.
Oh,
There's nothing for me to add from a content perspective. Unreal game. If you want to check some of the down the alley stuff that we did for this, I was on the Lakers live stream. So if you want to go back, maybe you missed the game, you weren't at it. If you want to go back, I'm on the mic on the Laker live stream. Go check that out. It's worth the watch. Even if you were there, go and watch it again. It's one for the books. JP, I'll let you direct people to your content for that game if you want to check out pictures. Did you do a write-up for this one as well?
I don't have a write-up, but I got the pictures are going to be edited after this. We also have a clip of the very last play of the game on our Instagram if you want to see it. We'll have a highlight video made for it as well. So yeah, we'll get some good content out from a visual perspective for you guys. But those pictures will for sure be done today. They'll be up on the website later this afternoon.
Unreal. So
I might have a little bit of a rant. I hear a lot. So like a little explanation. So if there's a foul in the 8 meter called the critical scoring area and the time runs out, so like the foul's called and the time is at 0, the 8 meter shot still gets set up, but you just get your shot and there's no like time. So it's kind of like, I don't know, best case scenario, worst case scenario, I don't know. But if there's a foul and the clock goes, you get your 8 meter shot. So, and then just to explain, Lakeville South played it perfectly. The player with the ball, the offensive player, in this case, it was Rachel Ward. She was going to take the shot. You get put on a hash mark on the 8 meter, like depending where the penalty fell in the 8 meter. Okay. So then the defenders get one side or the other of it. And one, if she's going to take a righty shot, the player on the right will usually go for a stick check, which in this case, it was played out perfectly. You want to get your stick to kind of hit her stick and deflect the ball. And then the other player gets on her hip and tries to drive her out of like a scoring area. But the thing is, I'm just trying to explain that for people of like, you know, why didn't she take a power shot or why didn't she do this? But I'm also getting annoyed with everyone being like, I don't know the rules. The girls' rules are so weird. Why is there so many whistles? Why is it this? And I don't understand it. And it's like, well, have you ever tried to understand it? And yeah, it's different than the boys' game. Like, get over it. It's going to be different. It's a whole set of different rules, a different field, a different number of players. Some positions are a little bit different. So I'm getting a little annoyed with the fact that everyone's like, I don't know the rules. There's so many different rules. It's like, yeah, well, try to learn them. Just like I could say I don't know the rules of football, I don't try to understand football either. So if you're feeling like I don't know what's going on, check yourself first of like, have you ever tried to understand the rules of the girls' game? Like I sit there and try to understand what the boys refs are calling, loose ball push or like the check to the head. Like they have calls too that are like I could just easily sit there and be like, I don't know. They make the refs make the sign of like traveling, like in basketball. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I've never really tried to understand what they're calling either. So I've picked up some things, but that's just as we go into section games, if you have a player that's on the boys team and the girls play right after, or you have a girls player and the boys play right after, instead of just like, I don't know the rules, this game is so silly, put helmets on them and let them play like the boys. Like, stop saying that, and maybe just sit down and ask questions, or just simply sit there and enjoy a game. Because JP, you've made comments too of like you've never watched girls and now you have, and you're picking up a lot. And like some of your write-ups, your write-ups have been awesome and like completely like intelligent responses of what's happening. So it's not difficult to understand. I just think people aren't giving it the same chance. And I'm going to just generalize saying it's a lot of people who usually watch boys games comparing the girls game. It's rarely the girls game viewers saying it about the boys game of like, why is it so rough? Why I don't understand the rules and blah, 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 blah. I don't hear that a lot. I hear it the other way around. So if you have the chance to be out there and there's a game of the other boys or girls out there, like maybe just watch it with a completely new lens of like, try to understand the rules, try to figure it out, because I guarantee you can try to pick something up. And they're both very fun sports to view. They're fast paced. Yeah, there's a lot of differences, but like, get over it. Like you go to a football game and you go to a soccer game and they're different too. So this just happens to be the quote unquote the same sport. Like there's a lot of differences in the boys and the girls hockey game too, or the boys and the girls soccer game, how they're played. So that's just some comments that I've been hearing of like, especially since there was a lot of fans in the stands of like, yep, there's a lot of whistles. Some games are going to be worse than others. There's a lot of different rules. Start to learn them. Like, I don't know. It's getting really old to me.
I agree with you. I think you hear like boys lacrosse fans saying that about girls more than girls saying that about boys lacrosse. I would agree. Personally, I've watched more women's college lacrosse than I have women's high school. And would you say, I'm just asking, would you say there's more whistles in high school than there are in a women's college game, like more just stoppages? And maybe
I think so.
Like people have seen women's is like on ESPN, right? Because I feel like the boys college game and the boys high school game whistles and stoppages are more equal, or like more closer in range than in girls. So maybe that's where that's coming from. But I'm 100% on your side. Like the rules are different, so learn them. Don't just say it's not boys lacrosse. It's not. It's
literally. Yeah, I think so, and I think some games are going to be called a lot tighter. I think that's just kind of the style of play the girls are at, and kind of the education of it. It's just we're not quite there. But that's a good point that like maybe on TV it seems a lot like more. You're definitely going to get refs that are going to call it tighter. Lakeville South, the one you were talking about, she is the head of refs, so she's not going to let anything by her. So that was kind of the way of it. But some games are a little less whistly. But anyways, that's my rant. If you feel like you have no idea what's going on, like read a rule book. I don't know, like, or like ask a question, or just enjoy the game and not be like, why are there so many whistles? Why can't they hit each other in the head? I don't know. Like, just don't hit each other. Boys shouldn't hit each other in the head either. So
agreed.
It's getting old.
Great rant.
I will say too, like, I don't know the rule book like a ref does, but just sitting there and watching the 6 or 7 girls games I've been to this year, like, you just pay attention, you'll pick up on it. Like, again, I don't know every rule. I don't know every rule about boys lacrosse, but like, it's not that hard. And I think I actually appreciate the game a hell of a lot more now that I kind of have a grasp of what's being called and what's going on. And I'm not just like, oh, they're just stopping the game because they're just stopping the game. Like, no, there are real reasons why the refs are making calls and why players are being positioned where they are when the stoppages happen, and why sometimes it's a free motion to go off of the call, or what sometimes you have to wait for a whistle to go. Like, it all is deliberate and it all makes sense and it all makes the game better. So I'm just gonna repeat what you said, but like, stop whining and complaining about a game, sit there and watch and learn and try to pick something up from it.
For sure.
Moving on
back to other scores on Tuesday.
We're still on Tuesday. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rosemount to Eastview Egan was 17 Rosemount, 12 Eastview Egan. And I'll shout out Eastview Egan because like that's a pretty close game for how maybe their margin would have been ranked at the beginning of the season. And Eastview Egan actually had another close game with someone else. So shout out to them for kind of maybe having a stronger second half of the season. Also on Tuesday and over Wayzata. So again, Wayzata's out in my book, and Edina over Blake, 15-8. So Edina's a force to be reckoned with, I think. That's it for Tuesday. Wednesday,
Keep her
Elk
moving.
River Zimmerman over Armstrong, only 9-6. I was kind of surprised by that score. I thought that's maybe more telling about Armstrong having a really good game than maybe Elk River having a bad game, quote unquote. But that's just one that stuck out in my mind. So I think Elk River Zimmerman, I think they've already gotten the 1 seed. That one is out. Maybe can we go back and forth? Because that section came out.
Can we go back and forth on what? What do you mean?
Like scores and section? Or should I just keep doing scores?
Let's do Wednesday night scores, finish those up. And then we'll go
that
to
was the only one
Thursday.
on Wednesday.
Okay, go to
Thursday,
Thursday. I have a deep dive on one game for Thursday.
Okay, well, I love a 1-goal game, and Moorhead beat Grand Rapids Greenway 11-10. And then I think your other 1-goal game.
Yeah, the other 1-goal.
Third one. Duluth beat Hermantown Proctor 11-10 also. I love a 1-goal game, but tell us about the 1-goal game you got to witness.
Yes. So I was up in Stillwater, and the girls were playing before us. Stillwater had Edina, and this one was an absolute barn burner. Both of these teams passed my eye test going into sections. I know we'll do a deeper section dive here, but these two teams were going at it. They weren't leaving. They weren't hiding any plays. You know, they don't care what's out there. They were there to win. They were there to battle. They put on a show last night. I went to 2 girls games this week, one accidentally, and both of them did not disappoint. I'm all in on girls lacrosse. Again, I'm not going to go on a major rant here, but this game was another one for the books. And 3 overtimes. JP, I sent you a few clips. Feel free to edit them. I know they're not JP quality, but feel free to get those out on social. Back and forth. Both teams had opportunities to win. Both teams were calling timeouts in overtime, and I got a rant. I do have a rant, not a similar, nothing to do with boys versus girls lacrosse or the rules or the different styles of play. This has to do with overtime, the rules of overtime, and
so it is boys and girls.
So no. The schedule and the logistics of overtime. Overtime, 3 minutes long. Am I not mistaken? If I'm not mistaken, is it 3-minute overtimes for girls lacrosse?
Not really sure.
I believe it was like 3 or 4 minutes. The break of overtime was 5 minutes. It was longer. It was longer than the play of overtime. And again, I'm not saying the boys are more important than the girls, but we're doing back-to-back situations here. The game was running long. I'm in Stillwater, an hour away from home on a work night. Now I got a podcast Friday morning here. Get up and start podcasting early in the morning here. Let's keep the game moving. Let's have a minute, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes tops break for overtime. Talk about what you need to talk about. Flip the field. Get the game moving. This is a regular season game as well. So either we need to lengthen. Let's play a 5-minute overtime and let's have a 2-minute break. Let's not have a 3-minute overtime and a 5-minute break. Am I crazy here? This is Kepner's rant, so I'm ranting for Coach Kep as well. Another guy who's at work and we didn't get home until midnight. So any thoughts on the logistics of overtime? Am I crazy?
Do you feel this way if you don't have a game afterwards, or is that the sole driving factor of this rant?
Regardless, overtime should be 5 minutes and the break should be like 2. I think
you definitely don't
fair.
need a 5-minute halftime.
Agreed.
I agree that it's you almost want to keep it going. Let's keep this momentum going, because sometimes those final seconds of the regulation time are let's just keep the clock going. Let's just a little timeout and then go back out on the field and keep it going. I agree.
I could see the argument being made though, if we get into a triple overtime, maybe you need a little bit of a longer break, keep the game fresh, we don't need people with dead legs trying to get up.
No, we do. This is overtime, JP. This is the battle. This is the front lines of war that you need to be like, you got to be gritty. You don't get a break. Win the game in regulation. That's your break.
I have a take. I don't know if it's a hot take or a cold take.
Give it to me.
But there should not be overtime in regular season. And here's why.
Yeah.
And here's why. Everyone makes the playoffs. Everyone makes the playoffs. So does regular season even matter? Like if you're gonna say
no,
and this frustrates me because it's like it doesn't matter. You could lose every game in the regular season, you still get into the playoffs. Like, yeah, sure, seeds and all that kind of stuff, but like you could just tie or have one overtime, and if it's not settled, it's a tie. And we move on.
I would say that's probably a cold take. I hate ties. So we can play. I'm not opposed to playing overtime. I'm not opposed to extending the game. I'm fine extending the game. I love a good over. I love free lacrosse. Let's make the refs work a little longer for free. I'm cool with that. But let's extend the overtime play.
It is weird to have a long amount of playing time.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my issue. I'm
for sure can be changed. 1 minute, get back on the field.
And
some water.
Go ahead. Have 4 overtimes. I'm cool with that. It's exciting. It's fun. It's fun for the players. It's fun for the fans. It's fun for the coaches. I'm cool with it. But we got to figure out the timing. Longer overtime, shorter breaks. That's my vote.
This is definitely loser talk, but as someone who's been on the receiving end of multiple overtime losses, I would love to get rid of the sudden death in lacrosse. Goals happen so quickly, play the full 5 minutes, see what happens. But it's definitely some loser talk on my end. But I don't know. It could go anyway. Basketball, it's very similar to that, but I don't know. Maybe that's also a cold take.
Cold take in my opinion, but everyone's entitled to an opinion. Like maybe Ted agrees with you. I don't know. Let's keep her moving. What do we have? Any other scores on Thursday? That was the game I was at. So that's all I have personally.
That was it. That was a big Thursday night.
Let's just jump right into section talk then. Let's keep her. We don't need a 5-minute overtime break. We can jump right into.
We need a freaking intermission at this point. Curtain call.
So section 1. Again, not too surprising. Lakeville South wagon, and then kind of everybody else.
Yes, literally. No one's even really come close. At all.
Have we seen? Has the tournament come out yet, or the seeds for section 1?
No, section 1 is not.
Section 1 is not.
Okay.
There's a couple that are out, but section 1 is not out.
I'd be interested to see where Rochester Century lands. I think that was maybe the one team that I don't want to call them an outlier because they were good last year too, but maybe the team I'm most curious about and where they land, because Katie had them at 2, PMAC had them at 2, I had them at 3. So I don't think they'll be the 1. I think that's Lakeville South, but wherever they land, that'll be interesting.
On to do you just want to move to section 2? I feel like
that's
not to
I
discount.
guess the others, it's Lakeville South and everybody else. So
and until we see the final seeds, or unless we hear from, we can only speculate. On
to section 2, a little bit more of an interesting one potentially. Chan, not the. Again, a great team, but there were some cracks in Chan's armor a little bit that was shown throughout the year. Chan obviously still a force to be reckoned with coming playoffs. Tonka in the mix, EP in the mix, Southwest Christian, making noise as they have been the last few years. EP starting to heat up maybe towards the end of the season. Are they going to sneak out a 2 seed?
I don't know.
going to be the one? How crazy could this one get?
I feel like honestly, anybody besides Ted could be right in ours. Like I feel like it really is Chan, Minnetonka, EP, but I wouldn't be surprised if Southwest Christian gets in there.
Wait, why anybody but me? Just because I had Chaska?
Yeah, because you had Chesk. But I don't know. But I don't know.
Got it.
I
So
wish I could
do we
see,
think Southwest Christian is going to be the 4? Is that what we think?
I wish I could see the last year. I can't like pull up last year's so I can see the section all in front of me. Is there a way to do that by
So
section?
we all had Chan as the 1.
Yeah.
Are they most likely going to
Mm,
be the 1? Did they play Minnetonka Needham Prairie?
Katie?
let me look. I'm looking just to make sure I don't say something I can't or take back. I personally think they did play Minnetonka. They beat them. They played Minnetonka. They played Eden Prairie and beat them by a lot.
Okay, so they will get the 1.
So I think it's fair that they'd be the 1.
Yeah.
So you're right.
And then what was the result of Minnetonka Eden Prairie?
Let's look.
It looks like EP won 16-11. So it's going to go Chan, EP, Tonka, Chan, EP, Tonka. What about I'm trying to think. Shakopee is in that section.
Yeah, no, not them. It wouldn't
So
be them.
I think JP's got it here. I think it's going to be Chan,
Yeah.
Tonka, Southwest Christian. That's how I would.
Probably pretty. That would be my guess.
Okay.
It looks like we lost JP here. He might have had to go do something, but yeah. So I think that I mean, I had Chaska, did not have Southwest Christian. I mean, you guess you could argue scheduling with some of these other section teams, but nonetheless, I think we all were pretty high on Chan, Minnetonka, and Eden Prairie, and those 3 will be some form of the top 3.
On to section 3, and honestly, I don't follow these girls lacrosse teams very closely, other than my hedge fund.
This one is posted. This one is posted. I saw.
Oh, they are?
Yep. So Park is the 1. Cretin is the 2. East Ridge is the 3. And Woodbury is the 4. Simley is the 5.
Okay. So we were all fairly kind of somewhat close. Katie may have been the closest.
Yep. No, East Ridge. I think we all had some piece of it. Park.
Yeah, Ted, you had East Ridge in there, so good call on that.
I was high on Simley. They're the 5. St. Croix Prep is the 6. And a couple people had St. Croix Prep. So yeah.
Who's 3? Oh, East Ridge. Yeah, East Ridge is a 3. So if I had East Ridge and bumped out. So, Simley's had themselves a good little season, honestly. Like you said about East Ridge, this is kind of an interesting section. The source says for sure it was Park, coin flip for 2 to 6. And I agree with that. Like honestly, like it kind of showed in our rankings, we all kind of could have. There was a comment.
But I will say, I want to shout out Cretin. I think we were assuming they were going to take a major drop. I think a lot, maybe not Katie, but at least on me and JP and PMAC, just because like they lost some pretty big guns last year. They've had a nice season as well. They've had a couple quality wins. And then recently just lost, I guess, got upset by, I think, Buffalo. A couple, I don't know if you guys talked about that, but so yeah, Cretin had a nice season. I think a bounce back, prove it season, based on what we were kind of thinking when we did this, if I remember correctly.
I definitely agree. There was a comment, the coin flip comment. Yeah, they got beat by Buffalo 15-12 on the one of the posts, and it was like, does JP just pull names out of a hat? And I was like, we all do.
That's the best way to do it this year with all the upsets on rankings. And
this section for sure, like the source said, just being like a coin flip, it really could have gone that way. Park. So has Park been to state?
Yeah, I don't know. No, I don't think they have.
Like, that would be so fun. Like, talk about getting New Jerseys involved. this could be the section to get. Like, that would be super cool to see them go. But we don't know.
On to section 4, I'm interested how this one shakes out. You've got Stillwater in the mix, you got Gentry in the mix, Hill Murray in the mix. From there, do you go Mott or White Bear Lake? I don't know. I don't know if this one's been posted yet or not, but I would assume Stillwater goes 1, Gentry 2, Hill Murray 3, and then from there, I don't know. Maybe
This is not posted.
Yeah,
Speculation.
it's not posted. Trying to find I think Gentry will be high. I think Hill Murray will be high. What did Matamidi girls do this season? The Mott boys are all up on our grill, but the Mott girls, that will be really interesting.
They are 8 and
Well,
5.
They
So-
lost a big one to White Bear Lake. Is White Bear Lake in their
so
section?
White Bear Lake would be the 4 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost big time to them last game of the season. 1-goal game to Eastridge.
Yeah. They lost. Matamidi lost 1-goal game to Hill Murray too.
Interesting.
Hill
Interesting.
Murray. Yeah, Hill Murray will be the 3 at 8 and 5.
My
Yeah, Katie.
source says Stillwater, Gentry, Mott, Hill, and I think I'm gonna keep mine. I think I might be right.
You're right, Katie. Or I think White Bear could be the 4. They could claim that head to head against Matamidi. So that'll be
Yeah,
interesting.
they could. You're right.
On to
Interesting.
section 5. I guess I don't know off the top of my head if we were going to be close on this or not. You got Benilde in the mix, you got Blake in the mix, you got Wayzata in the mix. Did I say Maple Grove? And then you got Armstrong. A lot of people in the mix. A lot of teams that I don't know if they were the most consistent at times. So maybe we're gonna have to rely on a lot of head-to-heads. I don't know. Was anyone
Yeah,
close
I
on
think
this one?
it'll still be because I think Benilde will still take it. They beat Blake. Blake. Yeah. Maple Grove beat Blake.
Yeah, Maple Grove has a case for the 1. But
They are their conference champs, I believe. I think the boys and the girls.
Benilde's conference champs too. Maple Grove's 13-0.
Yeah.
They play a weaker schedule than Benilde, and Benilde has only lost to Lakeville South and Chanhassen. So that's going to be a tough one. That will probably be the biggest, I guess, discussion point in this section. I think you give Maple Grove the 1 because they're 13-0. I mean, I think they're probably one of those teams where, given their schedule, if they have any blemish on their record, they drop. But they did win all their games. Benilde gets the 2, and then I think Blake. Did you say Blake lost to Maple Grove, right? So
I think so.
Blake's the 3, and then there's
Robbinsville Armstrong lost to him too. But who else is in that section?
You got Wayzata, you got and
Wayzata. I think Wayzata's out. I mean, they might get the 5, but I'm like, I think we decided they lost to like everybody.
Yeah, Armstrong gets the 4 then.
Yeah.
So Benilde or Maple Grove, Benilde, Blake, Armstrong. So Katie, you were pretty close as well.
I could see that flip, that Maple Grove Benilde flip though.
Yep. Yeah. So Katie was almost right on that one. So nice job.
On to section 6. This one might be. I guess I don't know. I'm interested. Katie,
it's posted.
Katie, did you get this correct? PL Edina Irish
correct?
Jefferson? Is it? I don't know.
It's
Yep, I did.
1 is PL.
What do I win?
2 is Edina. 3 is Rosemount. 4 is Jefferson.
Good job, Katie. Congrats. I don't know what you win.
I don't know what I win either.
Don't win anything.
For sure, not credibility. I definitely don't win any credibility. None of that now. Yeah, this is gonna I kind of forget about our own section, but We did know we were going to get all home games, so we were pretty excited about that. And actually, because of commencement, we'll actually be playing at Twin Oaks at our home like practice field one of the days, and that actually kind of excited us because that's where we practice. So the girls were kind of pumped about that. That we'll actually have like a real home field advantage. So
On to
yeah,
section
it's gonna be a fun one.
On to section 7. Again, a section on the girls' side, especially that hard for me to track and keep tabs
Yeah,
on.
I don't even
What's the
know.
source saying?
The source is saying this is on Down the Alley pre-content, I believe. Maybe it's not even posted yet, so they might be mad that maybe by the time this podcast goes live, it will be section 7. Interesting. I kind of going with off of what I posted. The source is saying Centennial is going to take it. Second would be Andover, then Forest Lake, and then Champlin Park.
So you're pretty close, Katie.
Is that notes as of like right now?
Probably, yeah, like this morning. Oops,
Okay.
not Champlin Park boys.
Yeah, interesting. I thought Champlin was having they still might be having a great season, or they did, but Forest Lake. I know they have
I know. Like I haven't caught because they haven't caught my eye all year. Champlin Park did not play Forest Lake. So that's interesting. Did Centennial? Let's click on Centennial. Centennial played Forest Lake?
Yep.
They crush them?
Oh, I thought you meant did Centennial play Champlin Park. Sorry.
Oh. Yeah, they lost.
Yeah, so Champlin
Nobody played Forest Lake.
Yeah, so Champlin should be ahead of Centennial, right? Because and Champlin should be ahead of Andover because based on standings here and like head to heads. Or wait, maybe they lost.
Yeah, Champlin lost to Andover.
Okay, so Andover
Andover lost to Centennial.
Got it.
Okay, let me look. Where is who did Forest
I don't even
Lake
know what
play?
conference Forest Lake is in.
Suburban East. But who did they? Interesting. Like they had played like nobody in their section.
I'm looking at girls Forest Lake. They are 3-10.
Yeah. So maybe we need a new team in that slot.
I think they meant Chisago Lakes. It's got to be Chisago Lakes. They're undefeated.
Oh, for section 7?
That's probably why it's not posted yet by the source. He's still,
section 7. Chisago Lakes girls are 14-0 this year. They haven't really played anyone.
Okay, yeah. So that's a typo.
Oh, and also the Big Lake.
No, section 7. Section 7, Champlin Parks. Champlin Parks year. The source wrote that to me this morning.
No, we're not arguing about Champlin. It's Forest Lake.
Oh.
Anyway, the Big Lake girls have a sick logo, so shout out Big Lake.
They do.
Maybe the boys have the same one, but it's like a hornet or something that's like it's like flexing.
See.
Anyway, but yeah, I think Centennial, Champlin, Andover, Chisago.
Oh yeah, that is a cool logo.
All kind of have proven to kind of be there. This could be one of those sections like on the boys side where like anybody 1 through 4 could probably have a chance.
Isn't it section 7 boys too?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could say that about section 7 boys.
Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one. Hopefully they can post that today and not leave us hanging. I still think it's gonna be Centennial or Andover. It's gonna be the top 2.
I believe section 8 is posted, so we don't have to guess and ramble and make ourselves look clueless. So what's going on with section 8?
We got Elk River Zimmerman with the 1, which is super exciting. 2, I guess I was the closest. St. Michael Albertville.
Oh.
Which I'm actually kind of like surprised to see. I guess they kind of fell off my radar. Sorry, Knights. 3 is Moorhead and 4 is Buffalo. We were all really ready to commit to Buffalo, and they're the 4 seed. But Monty Magic is 5.
They're in the mix.
So they got to beat Buffalo 4 versus 5. But hey, I'll take it. We'll see. I'll wear my hat that day. It'll be 85 degrees, but I'll wear my hat that day. But not surprised, Elk River Zimmerman. I'd love to see an Elk River Zimmerman Moorhead section final, to be honest. I think an upset's going to happen maybe in the quarterfinal.
Speaking of upset predictions, let's keep her moving and start at section 1. Lakeville South, the favorite. Will they be upsetted? I guess no.
No.
Hopefully not the kiss of death. Section 2, we're assuming, if I remember correctly, Chan will be the 1. Could they be upset? I think potentially, because there's just been so much drama with some of these teams. I'm gonna cheer for drama. I'm gonna cheer for an upset. My gut's telling me Chan will come out on top, but I'm gonna cheer for an upset in this one.
I'm gonna say upset, and I think it might be EP. I think EP might upset.
Yeah.
I think we're sleeping on EP a little bit.
Yeah, I think there will be an upset in section 2.
Section 3, the Wolf Pack, the favorite, and I want a new team at state. I'm cheering for the Wolf Pack. I am not cheering for an upset.
Me too. Park all the way.
I got CDH upset all the way.
Private school kids.
Is that legal for you to pick them?
On the girls' side, yes.
You would side with the private school.
Yeah.
So section 3, I don't want to see an upset. I like Park. I like what they're doing. I think there will be an upset somewhere in this section. I don't know if it's in the winning of the section, but I think there will be a surprise game at some point in this section.
Section 4, assuming Stillwater's the 1. Not sure if we can assume that or not. Assuming Stillwater's the 1, do we think there's going to be an upset? I watched them last night. I don't think there's going to be an upset.
Me either. I think they'll go.
Yeah, I agree. No upset.
I think there'll be an upset.
Oh.
Thank you for not giving
for anywhere.
Thank you for not giving them the kiss of death, Ted. Section 5. Did we get a confirm, or we just think it's going to be Benilde?
We did not get a confirm.
So
I'm pretty sure this.
Or we think it might be. It might be Maple Grove.
It might be Maple Grove.
I think it's going to be Maple Grove. If Benilde had 1 loss, I think they have an argument, but they have 2.
Okay, so the clueless coaches of Down the Alley think 1 will be Maple Grove. So assuming it's Maple Grove, do we think there will be an upset?
Yes.
No.
I think there will be an upset. Section 6, Lakers 1. Will there be an upset? Obviously,
No.
I say no.
No.
I want to say yes, but no.
Don't give us the kiss of death.
Yes. Edina.
I was going to say, so again, Edina, I saw them against Stillwater, a team I just mentioned. They both passed the eye test. Edina will not be an easy out. Watch out for the Hornets. They're going to be stinging. Section 7. Sorry, trying to catch up. Did we get a confirm on who may even be close to being the 1? Or do we have absolutely no clue?
We have absolutely no clue.
So for those reasons, I think they're
7?
Section 7.
It's going to be.
Who do you think it's going to be?
Champlin Park.
It's going to be Champlin Park.
Okay, so for the reason that I feel like we're not confident in who the 1 is, I'm gonna guess there's gonna be an upset.
There'll be an upset.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say it. Champlin Park's going all the way.
Yeah, I don't know. Champlin Park though, they're my pick, one way or the other.
Same.
Great social media team. Section 8, we confirmed it's Elk River.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think they get upset.
Agreed.
Why do you always leave me at the final straw here? I don't think they get upset.
Okay. Monty Magic, we're sorry. Thanks for the hats, but hopefully,
I mean, they might upset someone, but Elk River Zimmerman might not upset them.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think
Ted's old adage of somewhere in the bracket there'll be an upset, but it won't be the final.
fair enough.
Elk River Zimmerman's got a lot. Like they gotta go back into state and they gotta like make a name for themselves, because I think they did last year, but I think people didn't believe them. So now this is their year.
We have passed the 2-hour mark. We have gone long enough. We've ranted. We
have people asking where the podcast is, because it wasn't posted at 5 a.m. They literally have the itch. They're like freaking out. The Vice is not available at 5 a.m. on Friday like it usually is. So hopefully PMAC can get this one up here quickly. But yeah, I think it was a good idea for us to wait and actually talk about these sections and speculate. That's what we do best here, is speculate our clueless analysis.
Yeah, we're going to get called out for how absolutely clueless we were all episode long. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you got your dose of a rant, dose of Twitter, the dose of Discord. We went to all of our sources. And here we are. I feel like yesterday I had my first game, and today or last night I had my last one. So we're on to playoffs. We're on to sections, and for DTA Nation, we're cheering for upsets. So with that,
coaches,
but not OT games,
unless they change.
We need regulation upsets only.
Yes.
No, I like free lacrosse.
Someone in regulation, you don't get to upset in overtime.
I like free lacrosse. Go to 4 overtimes. I love overtime. I just don't like. I don't know if it's just the girls' side, the boys' side. We haven't had an overtime game yet this show. Oh, no, we did. But we only went 1 overtime. So I don't know the overtime rules schedule.
How long was your break in between?
We only went 1 overtime. So I can't tell you the break in between overtimes.
No. Oh, I mean from regulation to overtime.
I don't remember. I chucked my hat that night. That's how that game went. Okay. With that, we'll see you next week.